is up, guys? Welcome back to Think Shank. We are going to talk about my 3 biggest takeaways from the USA's men's basketball team's gold medal Olympic run. I think they're going to be pretty interesting. I do want to just start off, say, broad stroke, it was a fantastic tournament, and of note, the non-American teams I thought were tremendous. I thought specific players, Dennis Schroeder, Victor Wembanyama, were phenomenal, and that guy on Germany that doesn't ever miss threes. Like, this entire event is such a chronicle to me. Best talent in the world trying to compete in a do-or-die tournament, one game at a time. I've just been digesting all of it and letting the emotions flow through me and all of the discussion and fallout from it kind of marinate. And I would just be remiss not to just point out how fucking cool it is that we get this style of tournament with this level of talent. And as just a devout lover of storylines and character arcs, everything that goes into the so what and the deeper meaning and all of the things, it's just so cool that this is a thing. And every 4 years, that's a really long time. Like, every 4 years, it is a long-ass time, dude. I think about just trying to press fast forward on undergrad or something, and that was such a formative time, so that's probably why it feels like it was actually 20 years, but I don't know. 4 years is a really long time. So anyway, really great tournament. Was really fun to be a spectator for and analyze and get to talk about. Also, the fact that I would imagine in Slovenia or Serbia or France, like, all of these like basketball fans of FIBA overseas have to probably be fans of our American players like Kevin Durant, LeBron, like, right? They probably know that. And to have them get to galvanize with each other to try and beat a lot of their heroes in their sport, if they love the sport, right? I think that's just really cool, too. I just don't know why. I just think about what it's like on the flip side, where if you're a Kevin Durant stan, but you're French and you live in Paris and you get to be like, get his ass, Victor. Like, I just think that's super cool, and that's got to be a really cool feeling for Europe, even though we kind of piss all over them every Olympics. But, you know. Anyway, the very first takeaway is the old guard is still great. For how long inside of a game? I don't know. Unclear. For the next 4 years into LA for the next Olympics? Probably not. Honestly, for their sanity and longevity and the happiness of their lives and families, except for Kevin Durant, probably wouldn't recommend it. Just ride on the sunset and let us lose. Honestly, it's probably time anyway. But what I want to do is talk about, of course, our big 3 in this tournament, LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant. Just pick out some consistent aspects of their performance and try to project off of what we saw onto the upcoming NBA season and seasons. We're going to start off with LeBron James, the Olympic MVP, was just Captain America. I know that's super simple. The guy's very slow, but very strong and seasoned as shit. He knows your plays better than you. He knows his plays better than anyone else on the team. And it's just insane to see, man. 39 years old. I'm going to try not to reference that a billion times like everybody else in their reaction videos, but it is fucking insane how effective this man still proves himself to be. As far as that floor raiser in high-stakes environments, he is still a top 5 player in the world to me. When you think about high-pressure games, late-in games, and I'm just really not sure how many other guys alive you should feel more confident having on your team when you're trying to mount a double-digit point comeback against Serbia, or you're going up against the host nation of the Olympics for the first time since 96 and trying to win gold. First of all, the guy's been damn near a triple-double machine the entire tournament. The only guy on this Team USA roster that is one of the most talented of all time consistently expected to and then delivered on producing a lot of value every single night at his age and stature. The fact that he was, one, able to produce that consistently, but then also to have a gold medal match with a quiet triple-double, an even bigger accolade. Because to me, it signifies he's making the right plays. Not everything has to be an electrifying Steph Curry fadeaway 35-foot prayer three-pointer. LeBron James is still going to make some of the most unstoppable runs in transition and finishes near the basket, evolved his skill sets to include walk-up lay fuck you threes in guys' faces that don't really seem to miss that much now, if you think about it, and just has the gift of his generational IQ to organically recognize that the role he needed to play to best maximize his own team's success was that Magic Johnson point forward role, as opposed to sucking the oxygen out of the gym, chucking shots, yada yada. You're gonna say, well, yeah, it's FIBA, you obviously should do that. I'm mostly referring to the late game situations. I don't think many of us would have been that surprised if LeBron James just started being real deal Captain America and fucking chucking shots, backing the fucking guys down into the floor. Even if he did take that route, I'm not even sure that we end up losing, to be completely honest. Again, no shade at Steph or KD here. He's that effective still, but he realized how much he needed to galvanize his team, playing that point forward position, being the facilitator, leveraging his gifted IQ level for the broader team was going to help maximize his team's probability to win gold. I just found that really inspiring and just really, really effective. And I don't mean to say, like, obviously guys like Devin Booker also had to play, find their role and fit into that, Drew Holiday, whatever. And most notably to me, what I'm going to remember the most about this Olympic run as far as LeBron James goes, I bet you know where I'm going with this. That fourth quarter against Serbia, where 39-year-old LeBron James said, fuck it, we are losing this Olympics over my dead 39-year-old body at the hands of a three-time MVP, and I don't care. It's going to be me guarding him one-on-one for the entirety of the fourth quarter in the midst of Team USA's attempted double-digit point comeback, the most Captain America shit I've ever seen in real-life sports analogy. It almost kind of made me think about all of the accolades that Jason Tatum was getting in the playoffs, for example, where, oh man, he's playing that Aaron Gordon role, taking less shots or being more efficient, getting off ball more willingly, and just locking into doing the dirty work, etc. I don't think that there is more dirtier work on fucking earth than going one-on-one guarding the three-time MVP Nikola Jokic, undisputed best player on the planet, for the entire fourth quarter while Team USA is clawing furiously to overcome a double-digit point deficit. We are all going to remember Steph Curry's electric knockout punches in the Serbia game and France game, but that fourth quarter from LeBron James basically awarded him the MVP in my eyes. That was the most inspiring thing I think I saw all Olympics. The most spectacular and electrifying thing I saw, obviously, was Steph Curry. I just don't know how many high physicality, high competition level sports you'll find a guy with this many miles on his body still being willing and having the competitive edge to take on a defensive assignment like a 3-time MVP and unanimous best player on the planet for the entire fourth quarter. Maybe a quarter of the number of people who are going to remember Steph's miraculous 3 against France are also going to remember how insane it was that LeBron James said, "Fuck it, I'm guarding Nikola Jokic down the stretch of this comeback against Serbia." But that is going to be what I remember LeBron James for in this tournament. And again, I think after USA beat Serbia, Steph would have had to have a 50-piece probably to deserve MVP, in my opinion. It wasn't Joel Embiid. It wasn't Anthony Davis. It wasn't Kevin Durant. Nope. Fuck all that. We're doing it. So reflecting forward now onto the Lakers season up and coming, I think it is very clear that the concern around his strictly energy level is very viable. His game is going to age very, very well simply as a function of his physical tools and profile, even at his age and with the number of miles, as well as his generational IQ and mental gifts at understanding the game. He knows your play calls better than you, better than his teammates. But the limiting reagent of this energy balance equation is the energy. You just physically cannot muster that level of energy and sustain it for as long. And so when I think about projecting onto the Lakers' upcoming season, that's why I think about having a much more consistent, high motor, higher energy scorer, facilitator to offload not necessarily the raw production, but it can't be him initiating everything, right? You need somebody else to start that domino effect more and more of the time as the guy ages. But when we get to the second round of the playoffs, conference finals, I just don't know how many guys I would personally feel more confident with having on my team. And to put it differently in a way that I've been thinking a lot about is if you were playing against him in the finals or you were coaching against him in the finals, this is still a top 5 most terrifying fucking guys on the planet to go up against. The roof has been gone for years. And again, with the IQ and just being 6'9" and fucking enormous and knowing how to do everything related to his shoulders and body control and straight line speed and whatever, I just find it very, very hard to believe that he is not one of the 5 most terrifying guys to play in a very high stakes environment or to coach against, etc. So that was my biggest takeaway for LeBron. Next, we have Steph Curry. Of course, he is going to have ownership of the most memorable, sentimental moments of this entire Olympics run. Deservedly so. In that specific scenario, at that specific moment, he is the only player on the planet, probably, that could have caught fire that confidently and that competitively to just suck the soul out of France the way he did. And of course, it's chronicled by that miraculous 36-foot bomb double-teamed that was shot at like a 90-degree angle and somehow still went in. Again, the overall umbrella theme here has to be just gratitude to get to see these guys, sure, play together, but compete at a very, very high level, even if it's just in their minds. Sure, it's the Olympics. Sure, we were favored, but they really, really wanted to win this game, and you could tell. Win this medal, whatever. So what we saw from Steph, similar to LeBron, extremely, extremely elite and effective still. And with Steph, I read somewhere somebody said something about his prime. I don't know if it's like his family or just his physical archetype that allows his prime to extend later, basically, but it really felt that way of the 3 of those guys. I mean, Steph is still out there running triathlons, causing chaos, and so still just leaves me feeling very, very confident in his ongoing potency coming into this next NBA season, being able to leverage his gravity field to his team's advantage. Of course, having Steve Kerr as Team USA's coach knows how the fuck to do that and really leverage it, even though a little bit of a rockier start in the earlier games, something to do with acclimating to the FIBA court, the FIBA rules, especially the physicality piece, I would imagine. He is, of course, the type of guy where that could very well have a considerable impact on his effectiveness. Still has the strongest gravitational field on earth as he's running around the court, which allows him to continue to be such a chaos agent off ball. As everybody knows, that makes everyone else's lives that much easier. Even when he's not hitting shots, it's just such a remarkable asset to have that level of shooter constantly being able to run all over the court and cause chaos. And so that level of conditioning is just so important. And based on what we were able to see, like, the guy really wasn't gassed. So as far as his game continuing to age, I really didn't see much of a sign that it's really going to slow down, maybe even within the next couple seasons. But again, when you have Steph Curry's gravitational field, the value he provides just stops being limited to just whether he's hitting shots or not. On top of that, the electric skill, ball handling skill, and then of course the shot making, which we saw and the whole world got to see, was absolutely electrifying. The handle on the up fakes, one dribble, sliver of space, rocket launcher, dot, like, that's just incredible. And then of course the actual rocket launching and shot making is, I mean, still just the best in the world. I think what's really worth spotlighting here as well was his ability to close games. So all the greats can do it. This is not a knock on Brown or KD, but it is just so clear how competitive Steph Curry is. It's very clear how incredibly talented he is. But in an environment like the Olympics that he had never even played or competed in before, as they say in dodgeball, guy just grabs life by the balls and tears it the fuck up, and it doesn't matter. You can move the three-point line, you can allow more physicality, make it harder for him to get his shot off. I mean, Steph's just too great. So the gravity field, electric skill, and shot making, as well as the handles, creating his own shot for himself, and then being that chaos agent, running all over the floor, even if he's not making shots, driving that much value, but then still having that greatness and that confidence to close the highest pressure games in, for him, a foreign competitive environment. So yeah, I think his game is going to age fine for at least the next 2-3 seasons probably. The conditioning level to me feels like the limiting reagent that will ultimately catch up to him as he does sort of decline out of his prime. But it seems like the guy, if he wanted to, could have jumped into the triathlon at the Olympics, probably placed. Really just amazing getting to see that. No qualms about his effectiveness going into next season. He should be commanding the same exact level of respect and fear on the basketball court next season. The last thing about Steph that I want to touch on, I completely understand where a lot of Dub Nation and just Steph Curry stans are coming from as far as the Olympic MVP goes. Touched on earlier in the video, if you didn't see it, around why I do believe that LeBron James was the deserving recipient of that. But my concluding thought is that Steph still won because he now has ownership of absolutely the most electrifying Olympics basketball moment of this generation that any of us are going to remember. And yeah, he didn't win MVP despite delivering those knockout blows, but I really think that that matters, and it makes me, again, just so happy that Steph was able to overcome that rocky start at the beginning of the tournament, absolutely detonate. And maybe that's me reaching for a consolation prize, but I don't think reasonable fans are going to still be pissed off about that. When we're reminiscing about that unbelievably stacked Avengers Team USA team, fought its way through three-time MVP Nikola Jokic, got past the soon-to-be face of international basketball protege Victor Wembanyama. The first thing everybody's going to think of was Steph Curry making the most Steph Curry-est Steph Curry 3 to close out the gold medal match ever. And not only are we going to know it as Americans, but the whole world watched that. Way more so than Game 4 of the NBA Finals in 2022 or whatever. I have to think you've got some kids in the Philippines that probably have Steph Curry jerseys and barely ever even get to see him play unless they make some things work, but they got to see that in an environment that's just more accessible to them. Those closing moments are going to live in the minds of far more people than LeBron James's fourth quarter against Serbia, or even Kevin Durant's mid-ranger to put away Serbia. Maybe that'll be up there, but gold medal match, host country hosting, never played in the Olympics. When you take in all of that, all of the eyeballs outside of the United States that were watching that game, playing the FIBA game that a lot of people outside of the United States borders are used to seeing, and of course, Steph Curry not having been in the Olympics to begin with, that very well could have been the most impactful shot that Steph has ever made. And again, the poetry there for me is that it was pretty close to being the most Steph Curry-est Steph Curry shot ever. Now, Kevin Durant, the Durantula. I think the best place to start is it's like hearing a professional violinist just rip. Just profound levels of craft and love for the game. Yes, it's the unstoppable cyborg level rise and fire, perfect shooting form every single time at a release point that nobody besides Victor Wembanyama has the slightest chance of disrupting, but it's also the competitor and the jawing at, I'm going to botch his name and I'm sorry, Ntilikina or whatever his name was on France's team in the gold medal match. They had to be separated. Got in Rudy's face too. And, you know, KD is a pretty reserved, very professional, just keep it about the game sort of dude. That dude was fucking on. That dude wanted to beat the shit out of the French. He was getting in guys' faces, hustling all over the place. There's so many moments throughout this tournament. I just felt like really deeply rooted admiration for KD as like a teammate. Gave the ball right back to Steph at the end of the France game when Steph got doubled. KD was like, fuck all that. Gave the ball right back to Steph, give him the shot, didn't even care, read the game the right way, let him do it. Joel Embiid to start off the fourth quarter against Serbia, where he had a pivotal offensive and defensive performance to sustain the juice that the U.S. needed to mount its comeback. And he's like shoving Embiid and shit and like getting him fired up. And the whole time, the guy is just ultra efficient, unstoppable shot making, doesn't need the ball at all, down to be an extremely versatile and effective defender. If you need him to guard 3 through 5, 2 through 5, doesn't matter. Of course, being the vocal mouthpiece over on Twitter, the diplomat from the demigod committee of professional basketball players that comes down from the heavens to just set things straight with the lay people and plebs like us. I find that to be just so wonderful, and there's nobody else that does that. There's nobody else that's just so human. Like, how the fuck are you a top 15 player all time and still willing to hop on Twitter in Paris at 5:30 in the morning to start trolling Denver content creators who are crying about their golden boy losing? There's just so much humanity in him, and there's just so much greatness from a craft that I don't know. I just came away just like admiring him more. Of course, we're all going to remember closing out that Serbia game where, very similar to Steph in a lot of respects, obviously Steph is smaller, waving off the screens, eating up an ISO possession to ice the game, less than a week after becoming the all-time leading scorer for both men's and women in Team USA history. And you just saw it on a collection of talent like this Avengers team, where Kevin Durant barely needed to change his game whatsoever, still was the third most impactful player on the team in aggregate, and had chronicle moments of greatness. So goes without saying, I just think Kevin Durant's game is actually going to age better than anyone else's. I think LeBron and Steph, obviously KD has sustained more injuries than LeBron, for example, and maybe that does shorten his time horizon, but it's just effortless. Like I said, it's like watching the best violinist on the planet just start playing. There you go. I'm out here just getting myself choked up. God damn it. And so for a few different reasons, I just think his game is going to age potentially the best out of anyone's. It's unstoppable when it gets going with his height and his skill, and he just has some of the most clearest to see love and admiration and obsession with the sport of basketball, not to mention the whole no kids, no family thing, whatever. It's just hard for me to see him not continue to be an outstandingly elite player in this league. It really requires health, and that's kind of it. But you can say that about Steph and LeBron. When it comes to the love for the game, the ability to be basically an ideal teammate, a low usage guy, an absolute competitor, closer, killer, ambassador of the game from the demigods up in the clouds to come down and lay the law of the land down on the plebs like us. I just can't ever see it stopping. I came away with the most revitalized appreciation and deeply rooted respect, admiration for Kevin Durant, even more so than Steph and Bron, because that dude just cares so much that he will roast your ass on Twitter at 5:30 a.m. in Paris in the midst of a gold medal Olympic run, because that's how much he fucking cares about this game. I genuinely don't know if we are ever going to get another one, but man, just what a man. All right, that's it. Well, guys, I really hope that was insightful. I'm sure you can tell that was a lot of just riffing on my end. There's a lot that's been marinating in the wake of this. There are just so many emotional and sentimental aspects of the run and the outcome that happened, and the fact that all these guys were able to come together and we were able to see them compete together in a very high-stakes game, and how well each of them performed in their own different ways, and the characters on the other end of the court, and what it kind of just revealed, or really reminded me about these three guys. Yeah, I guess there's a little bit of melancholy looking towards the next season or seasons, but I think the main reaction video content, talking points, and focus area has to be around celebrating. This is a magnificent feat, an accomplishment, an absolute gift for basketball fans everywhere. I have to imagine, even in Serbia and France and everywhere else, getting to see these three compete alongside of each other in a vacuum is cool, but at a level as high as representing the United States at the Olympics, which only happens every 4 years, yada yada, it's just so special. So really hope you enjoyed the video, and we are gonna keep the ball moving here, but I really hope you all enjoyed this incredible experience as well, and until next time.